was talking to Governor Shapiro, who's a friend. We have to win Pennsylvania, my original home state. He and I are putting together a campaign tour in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be campaigning in other states as well. And I'm going to do whatever Kamala thinks I can do to help most.
During that interview with CBS News, Biden referred to himself as a transition president and said he left the race because he didn't want to be a distraction and potentially hurt his party's efforts to beat Donald Trump in November. With me now is Eric Ham. He is CTV's political analyst. Hey there, Eric. Good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So what did you make of Biden's first sit-down interview and his reasons for dropping out of the race? He said it was to save democracy.
Yeah, that's right. I think once he got past the blow to his ego, I think that's really what this became about for the president. And now I think what we're seeing here is this rehabilitation tour somewhat of who he is as a political figure, not so much as a president of the United States. And I think in terms of what he is and what he brings to the party politically, I think we're going to continue to see at least that value added by the Harris campaign as they look to strategically use him in key places across the country where they think he could be a help to the campaign heading into November.
Yeah, namely Pennsylvania.
Oh, absolutely. But also there are other Rust Belt areas like in Michigan where you've got some of those Reagan Democrats who might still be sitting on the fence as well.
So do you think it benefits Harris to have Biden campaign with her?
Absolutely, it does, because what it speaks to is this unifying force within the Democratic Party. I still think that even though there is this momentum that is behind Kamala Harris, we cannot, I think, forget just how fragile this process was even a month ago with Joe Biden being called to exit the race and his eventual exit. And also, too, there are still 81 million voters who supported him in 2020, and the Democrats have to make sure that those voters are not only engaged, but also show up at the polls in November.
Okay, we are a week out from the DNC starting. The Republicans expect that this so-called sugar high that Kamala Harris is experiencing will wear off. However, we're looking at the Dems probably dominating the headlines for at least a couple more weeks. What do the Republicans do right now, Eric, as they see their campaign floundering, really?
They have to place it all on these debates. This has to be a focus now on September 10th when former President Donald Trump will actually meet Kamala Harris face to face, and then the eventual debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. That has got to be their firewall to be able to try to stop the bleeding, but also to try to build momentum. Right now, and as always in elections, it's all about peaks and valleys. And right now, Kamala Harris is on a peak. Donald Trump is in that valley. Just a month ago, Donald Trump was seen as peaking and actually beginning to expand his lead on Joe Biden. He's got to find a way to actually get back to that. And I think his only way to do it is with these debates.
Yeah, and I think for Republicans, there's a concern that he peaked too soon. Let me ask you lastly about the Time Siena polling over the weekend, Eric, that showed Harris ahead in some key swing states. How concerning is that for the Republicans? I believe still within the margin of error, but nonetheless, she's gaining ground on him.
That should be deeply concerning for the Republicans. And the reason why is because, as you mentioned, this sugar high, those numbers are already beginning to expand where Donald Trump was leading. Now you have Kamala Harris leading, and we're talking key battleground states. Look, we can just throw out what happens in terms of national polls, because if we go back to 2016, we have to remember it was the national polls that showed Hillary Clinton leading, but it was Donald Trump who won that blue firewall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania that put him over the top to make him president of the United States. And it's those same polling numbers now in those key battleground states that shows Kamala Harris not only leading, but extending her lead. And I expect that lead will continue now through the convention. And Donald Trump has to find some way to be able to stop that momentum, to be able to try to catch up. And I think unless he can do that, at least with these debates, we could begin to see this process begin to end very quickly for Donald Trump.
Eric Ham for us. Eric, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.